No matter where you go, they're there. Zombies don't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, and it was only a matter of time until they started shambling over to our own beloved classic tabletop titles. So what better franchise to take those away from us than The Walking Dead, providing their own variations on Monopoly and Risk. Let's get this one out of the way first. Do not buy. Sorry, I can't do it. Just go recycling. I'm not going to spend that much time on this because I'm pretty sure you already know the game and I've made my opinion rather clear on it. The Walking Dead Monopoly has you rolling dice, moving around a board and buying properties with various different supplies. And these supplies are the greatest indicator that civilization has gone kaput because the economic system is absolutely daft. Each banknote shows a different type of supply, but this is purely aesthetic, seeing as all the values are basically equal to one another, causing this weird Resident Evil 5-esque economic system where apparently 20 first aid kits can equal 20 gallons of fuel, 100 knives can equal 100 guns, and if you want change for 500 cartridges, you can trade them in for 500 guns which you no longer have cartridges for. You might be thinking I'm being a bit nitpicky here. I was expecting some change in gameplay with certain players perhaps needing certain supplies over others, but they're basically interchangeable with dollars, and the deeper you dig into the game, the odder it gets.
Okay, hang on a minute guys, I have to feed this tiger 15 supplies, but the smallest thing I've got is 20 gallons of fuel. Do you reckon I could just feed her that and she'll give me 5 sacks of seeds change?
Oh excellent, I get 150 supplies because my crops are coming in, but sorry kids, it looks like no one's eating tonight because I accidentally grew gun and knife trees. Okay, I'm going to start fortifying my property here with a wall, but hang on a minute, this isn't a wall, this is a house. This isn't a tower, this is a hotel! Excellent, now I've got the bike, I'm one transport away from a full set of... Hang on a minute, this says railroads, why does a bike need a railroad? These are transport. Have they forgotten to change this from the old game? It's on the flipping RV and all.
So maybe I was a bit naive to think that'd be more than a shameless cash-in, but you can't really blame me. This came out at the same time as The Walking Dead Risk, a game which promised alterations to the original formula to fit the subject matter, which makes the original Risk an even more meh-worthy experience. The Walking Dead Risk is a re-examination of classic warfare under the guise of the zombie apocalypse. In it, you'll be leading one of the main groups from the series, be it Rick's group, Herschel's family of the Greens, the Governor's rabble, and the prisoners, because we need a fourth group. In a bid to make as big a home as you can muster within the madness, and yes, there is a little bit of narrative dissonance here and there, but considering the mess we just left behind us, I'm willing to accept that and just move on.
Why would the prisoners start off anywhere other than the prison?
No one's listening to you.
Well, hang on a minute, I feel like it's a fair point that I have to make.
Shut up. I don't care about your opinion.
Well, just because I'm a disembodied voice doesn't mean to say that voice doesn't have an opinion. And my opinion...
Now, fans of Risk will be happy to know that the methods of massacring people remains unchanged through dice rolls. On your turn, if you see a territory you like the look of, you can move troops into it as long as you leave one behind. Players then roll dice and compare their numbers from highest to lowest order. Each duet of dice will compare numbers, with the highest dice winning and the lowest dice losing one troop. Attacking players can stop at any time, or they can keep attacking as long as they've got the troops to do so. But then there's a fifth faction on that board and it's Grey, and who's going to want to play as Grey? Well, no one does play as Grey. Those are the Walkers, one of the major additions to Walking Dead Risk. If you go up against Walkers, you get to add 1 to every single dice you roll because they're flipping inept. But if one of your troops is killed by a Walker, you'll be praying death upon them. If this happens, you'll have to roll 1 more die. If it's a 4, 5 or a 6, hooray, they're dead! But if it's a 1, 2 or a 3, they come back as a member of the living dead. It's very easy to get cocky when going up against the undead because of that combat advantage, but at the same time it's very easy to underestimate them, seeing as they can surround and outnumber you very, very fast should things go wrong. So yes, fantastic addition, fits the theme, brilliant. Does it go hand in hand with everything else they've changed though? Before a player even gets their turn, they have to draw territory cards, and these are not helpful. Depending on where this marker is on the outbreak track, players have to draw a certain amount of territory cards and add a certain amount of walkers to that area. If it's already got walkers on it, then it's just another walker to the pile. But if it's added to an area where humans are, then combat is immediately initiated. At the end of the round, the marker moves up 1 space, leading to more territory cards drawn and more walkers added. At the start of the game, this is an awesome idea because you're always wondering where's been struck, where might be safe to go until the end of this round, but towards the end of the game, it's an absolute nuisance. From round 4 onwards, you're drawing 4 cards and adding 3 walkers to each space. If you try and spread yourself across the map, which you should be doing, you're leaving lone troops behind, and the problem with that is the fact that the game seems to try and punish you for it in later rounds by making it more likely that it's going to be struck by a territory card and therefore a massive group of walkers, and they just don't stand a chance. You might just be sitting there thinking, oh well, just manoeuvre your troops there so everything's heavily guarded, but the game isn't designed to compensate for that idea. Before their turn, players also pick up an event card, which either gives them little perks based on dice rolls, which if you don't like the idea of, you probably shouldn't be playing Risk anyway, or side missions which encourage players to invade other territories for certain benefits. Sounds good on paper, but the risk is never worth a reward considering the fact that everyone you've left behind is likely going to die, and the bonus is usually extra troops anyway. It just doesn't really level up that well, and it gets to the point where there are so many walkers on the board you'll likely run out of components to facilitate them, and everywhere you're just not going to want to invade it. You just want to stay the hell away. So this is how the board looked after a 4-player game we had, and the board never usually looks this symmetrical, but the amount of points everyone's accumulated are often very similar. So here we've had 2 players get knocked out because they were playing rather aggressively, and that doesn't mean poorly. They were making some really smart moves, spreading their infantry out and obtaining as many territories as possible, because the primary way of getting points in The Walking Dead Risk is by getting territories. They were playing the game well. They were just punished by a random factor that they couldn't control whenever the territory cards came up, and now because of it there are tons of walkers in a fair amount of spaces, and the remaining 2 factions are in a weird stalemate where they have pretty much equal footing in terms of points, and it's not a very fun end game. Are you alright, mate? Yeah, sure, why? Yeah, I was just wondering, are you going to attack us? No, that'd be stupid. I'm perfectly happy where I am. Well, yeah, I was just thinking that. I mean, you can come over if you want. Oh, well, what do you want to do? Netflix and chill? It's the end of civilization, Steve. Love, film and chill? Literally the best tactic we can glean from this game is just stay put, have a cuppa and wait for this whole thing to blow over. It's Shaun of the Dead Risk. So if you're still considering buying The Walking Dead Risk, is it because you're a fan of the franchise? Or because you really want a zombie game? Because you're not exactly spoiled for choice here. If you want to revel in the social political dynamics of a zombie apocalypse, City of Horror is your best bet, a game where you have to vote innocent civilians out of refuge to be slaughtered by zombies just because, well, you want to win. And live. If you just want to blow up zombies Left 4 Dead style, then Zombicide is your best bet. Any season of it whatsoever, with tons of lovely miniatures and loads of missions to complete within a campaign, it could be a little bit better, but if McShooty Bang Bang's what you want, McShooty Bang Bang's what you get. And if you want a narratively rich survival horror adventure that writes itself around you, Dead of Winter, get it. I don't know why these Walking Dead games exist. Get this, Season 1, Walking Dead, Telltale. That's, if you want a Walking Dead game, buy that. None of this tabletop rubbish. Now, I'm not a Risk aficionado, so I don't really feel fit to comment for this, but I have heard outstanding things for Risk 2210 AD and have played 5 out of 15 missions on Risk Legacy, and unfortunately I can't show you the box or the board because it contains tons of spoilers that I don't want to spoil for you, but it's astounding. It manages to stretch the basic mechanics of a game of Risk into a 15-game campaign that's full of twists and turns and absolute bizarreness. It's wonderful stuff. But when it comes to talking about The Walking Dead Risk, all I can really say is, well, you tried. And I can't really base a recommendation on that. I can say it in a slightly more sympathetic way when I compare it to The Walking Dead Monopoly, though. So, Walking Dead Risk, you tried. Oh well, it's gone now.